You hit your serve, and the return comes into the middle of the court here. Who takes the third shot? Middle cover responsibility is one of the most problematic areas for doubles teams. It results in a lot of errors. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 areas that are full of errors in terms of middle coverage, and I'm going to tell you how to handle them so that you avoid those errors in your play. I'll introduce myself in a second, but first let me tell you the 3 middle cover trouble spots that we're going to be covering, pun intended, in this video. First, who takes the third shot, which is the one I just set up. We're going to go into that in depth and tell you who takes the third. Number 2, those middle dinks, right? Who takes them? That creates a lot of difficulty with players. And number 3, can I get some help? Because if you're not helping out here or not getting help from your partner, you're giving away a ton of points in this situation. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. You're going to see that one. As we jump into the video, my name is Tony Roig. I'm one of the head coaches at Better Pickleball. A full-time pickleball professional. This is what I do for a living. Curriculum like this, analysis like this, and developing concepts like the one we're going to talk about here, which is called Respect the X. That is a concept that we developed approximately 7 years ago at the time of this video, but it's a concept that can really help you deal with these situations. So let's go back to this situation here, and we're going to focus right over here on this situation. So who's going to take the third over here between these 2 players? A lot of times what players will think should happen is that this player should kind of get out of the way, and then this player comes across and takes the third. And the reason that players think this is because it's the player's forehand. So this player will come over here, take this third shot, and then that's the answer, right? That's who should take the third. That is an incorrect answer, and I'm going to give you a few reasons why. One reason why it's the incorrect answer is because it is a mechanically more difficult shot for this player to hit this ball than for this player to hit this ball. So it's much harder for this player here to hit that shot than it would be for this player to hit that shot mechanically. While we're doing this, let me get this out of the way. The reason for that is because this player will now have to reach for the ball. This player is going to have to reach away from their body to hit the ball. This player, the ball is traveling into their body. Remember, the ball is traveling in what direction? It's traveling in this direction here. So it is traveling away from this player and into this player, making it an easier mechanical shot for this player. Second reason why this player coming over and hitting the shot may not be the right answer is because this player may actually have a better backhand drop than this player on their forehand. That happens. I've played with many players whose backhand drops are better than their forehand drops. So why do we always assume that the forehand should take the shot? It's an incomplete answer if you think about it. Another reason why we don't want this player to come over is because of the positional imbalance it creates on the court, right? So I have this part of the court now is open because this player has come over. And this is not extreme. You'll see players come over, and it's not uncommon to see players come over like this to take a third. So now look, more open court, right? That's not how we want to play pickleball as a balanced doubles team. The other thing that this does, which is a little, it's trickier to see. In other words, players don't realize it, is what it does to this player. Okay, so what happens now is this player has come up. So now we have 2 players here. We have 1 player here. And then this player's out of the game. So what we've created is a 2 versus 1 situation. So in that, you never want that. You want to play as a team. You want to play as much as you can with both players involved. If this player hits an amazing third shot drop or a shot that can be attacked, where there's a pop-up coming back and things like that, this player can't do anything about it. That's why it's 2 versus 1. In the other scenario where I have the correct player taking the third, which is this player here. So I have this player taking the third. What happens there is now if she hits a really good third shot, then her partner over here, this player, is free to move. She's not pinned back. In the other scenario where I had this player coming across to hit the third, right? She's freezing her partner. Her partner is stuck behind her and not available to play. So if you want to play 2 versus 2, which is how you want to play pickleball, you're better off letting this player take that third shot in that situation. The concept that I mentioned was respect the X a minute ago. That's a concept, again, that we developed several years ago. The way you think about that concept is you think about it as an X. So basically there's an X on the court like this. So generally speaking, if the ball is traveling in this direction along the x-axis, then you're going to, or the x-axis, then what you're going to do is you're going to have this player pick up the ball. If it's traveling along this x, this axis of the x, I should say, then this player will generally take the shot. Because it's an easier shot, it avoids positional problems and it avoids freezing out your partner in any situation. The third one we're going to talk about today, that can I get some help in the middle, is going to break the X. So stick around for that one so you understand that concept. But generally speaking, if you're not sure, or if you don't have a reason to break the X, some other reason to break it, following this X, letting those balls travel along the X-axis or the axis of the X that belongs to you, will greatly improve your play relative to middle coverage, which we're talking about here. Obviously, if a ball gets hit, way out to another player and things like that, then there's no X situation to cover. Here it's basically when the balls are traveling across the middle, who takes it, particularly when you have them coming across a zone where both players could arguably get that ball. So that's a rough primer on, or a little primer on Respect the X. If you want to see more about Respect the X, in the channel we have an entire Respect the X playlist. Goes over all sorts of situations in depth with game study, breakdown, and things like that. You can check it out. I'll put a link up here. Tell my wife I'll call her back in a second. I'm going to put a link up here, and you can check out that content if you want to get more in depth on Respect the X. The second one that we want to cover is the middle dink, the other area of trouble, right? So we're going to bring everybody up to the MBZ, and we're going to set up a little dinking situation here. So here it's the same principle about Respect the X. We are going to want to respect the X whenever we're dealing with middle dinks, unless you have a good reason to break the X. So in this situation, let's assume we have a dink coming across this way. Let's put the ball a little bit wider. So we got a ball coming out from out here, and we have a ball coming across like this, okay? Now, in a dink, so it's going to bounce around here, let's say. Now, there's two possibilities, right? I could have this player come over and take it, or this player can let the ball come across to this player to take the shot. So this player would take the dink. Respecting the X, this player should take the dink. If you think about it, why would this player be reaching across their body to take that dink? What's the advantage in doing that? There isn't any. But players do it all the time. They'll reach across that middle and take dinks, whether it's this direction or this direction. It results in a lot of errors. It results in mechanical errors. Same thing as the third shot. When that ball is traveling this way, it's traveling away from this player. It makes for a much more difficult dink responsibility for this player, having to reach across their body like that, rather than letting it come into this player. It also pulls this player out of position. So in this situation, what you want to do in the middle dink coverage is, unless you have a really good reason for breaking that X, you want to respect the X. As the ball travels through that middle along that X, let the player on the other end of that axis pick up that shot. While your partner's picking up those shots across the middle with the X, pick up some information for 2025 by joining us for our State of Play. It's a free event where CJ Johnson and myself will be going over the real story of what's going on in pickleball right now. That way you can stay ahead of the game. I'll put a link up here as well down in the show notes. Get your free ticket and join us for the State of Play. The situation that we're dealing with now is, can I get some help here? And this situation, we're actually going to break the X. So in this situation, we're going to set up our servers again. So we got our serve team up here, and we're going to have our return team down here. Let me show you what happens in these situations. So I have my returner here, and what happens there is you get in a situation where the return is short. So we're going to have a serve, and we'll have a short returner serve here, okay? So in that situation, this player now is going to come in and attack, okay? These players are going to come forward, and we're going to be in an attack situation. This player is trying to get up to the non-volley zone. So this is the situation that we're dealing with here. So this player is exposed. This player is in trouble because they're going to be attacked by a shot. The easiest way to attack the player would be right through there, right? Just attack right through there. But That's not great for this team to have this player attacked in transition on the return side. What we want to do there is we want this player to come over here and intercept that ball. It does a couple of things. One, it provides less time for these players to move forward because this player will intercept the ball here instead of it traveling all the way to here and then back to that same zone. So it's less time. This player can handle the ball more easily because the ball will be, they're closer to the net. So the ball will generally be higher and they can handle it more easily. And it allows this player time to move up to the non-volley zone and then get set to receive the 5th from the opponent, the 6th for them. So when you're dealing in a situation, and this is very specific, on a return of serve, when you have a situation about covering, helping your partner, you want to, and what I would suggest you to make it simple, the player up at the non-volley zone line, the non-returner on the return side, always takes the 4th if they can, if it's somewhere in here. If it's out here, there's nothing to think about. But if it's over here, somewhere they can reach and hit, that way you don't have to worry about or think through, hey, my partner's already up, they can take it, that's too complicated. Don't put that much burden on yourself. Plan on taking the 4th every time when you're the non-returner, and that'll definitely solve your woes. For more solutions to solve the woes in your play, remember that State of Play on February 22nd, 2025. Get your free ticket. I'll put a link up here as well as down in the show notes. And let's keep you on top of your game. I'll see you there.